Because I've only seen 13 movies in March this year, so far, and because I made a top 10, I only have 3 movies to talk about as the worst of March 2016 so far. And I'm sure there's quite a few stinkers that probably would have made this list. But for now, let's talk about these 3. My number 3 is Allegiant. Kind of like the Divergent series. I don't feel they're as bad as a lot of people believe. The first one was okay. Second one I felt was a little better, but did lack in some of the things that the first one excelled at. And so for Allegiant, I was like, okay, this could be better. And it is the most mediocre of the 3. Easily the worst of the 3, but I still give it 2 stars because I feel it's still better than Fifth Wave. Not by much, but still better. It's Miles Teller that really makes this movie still worthwhile to watch. Because he's entertaining, and even when he's in the freaking background, your attention is on Miles Teller because he's just so into this weird backstabbing character. But out of the 3 Divergent movies, this one felt the most like a mesh of all the different young adult novel adaptations we've had so far. It's way too predictable, and the CGI is really laughable. Actually, one of the good things about it is there's so much of it that's so bad that it's hilarious. And so I can totally see people liking it in an ironic way. And so that's why it has a 2-star for me. Now these next 2 movies are bad, like definitely in my bad list because they both have 1 star. My number 2 I won't talk about that much because I just put up my review for it and it's available. My number 2 is Bleed. Don't watch this movie. There are some people that really did enjoy it though, so you might like it, but it's really not worth your time. I don't even want to talk too much about this next one because it's so generic that it's really, really boring and feels completely unfinished. Miles Teller's in it again, as well as a lot of great stars. My number 1 worst movie of March 2016 so far is Get a Job. I don't feel that it's deserving of me talking about it, not even in this countdown of worst list. It's just bland, boring, generic, unfunny, unfinished. Demonstrate how unfinished this movie is. The movie is only about an hour and 20, maybe even less than that. That's the runtime, and you're thinking, oh, movies of that runtime have been finished and created and still feel complete. But this movie is one of those movies that tries to tell about 4 or 5 stories in one. Now think about that and think about the runtime. Movies that have that much storylines going on usually are closer to the 2-hour mark to be complete. And sometimes those don't even feel complete. This movie's an hour and 20 minutes long. It is unfinished. So those are my worst of 2016's March, at least so far. But I'd like to hear your worst movies of March 2016 so far. Have you seen some movies that you really hated? But if you like this video and you want to see more, please subscribe. Check out my countdowns of the other months of this year, as well as the movie reviews of the 3 disappointing movies that I just mentioned, or any of my other reviews of 2015 or 2016. As always, this is Bruce Gifford, and this was Just My Opinion.